All right, welcome back. It is time to get into yet another preview for this year's upcoming International 11, and we're going to be talking about Tundra, one of a few teams coming in from Western Europe, which is actually the region with the most teams attending this year's International as of right now. That is subject to change given on how the last chance qualifiers will go. But yeah, in case you haven't seen it, I've been doing previews for every single team attending this year's International. So if Tundra isn't your favorite team, or if you have multiple favorite teams that are attending this year, check out my channel, see if I've already uploaded it. I will be having every single team done before the last chance qualifiers start on October 8th. So be on the lookout for that, including my predictions for TI11, which should have already been uploaded by the time you're seeing this. If not, those are going to be coming very shortly. And I will be also doing my preview for the last chance qualifiers before they start on October 8th. So if you don't want to miss that, subscribe, hit the bell so you're notified, as well as hitting the top link in the description to join the Discord if you're at all curious about talking about all things DPC with people just like yourself. So yeah, Tundra, what a year it's been. And although it's been a long time since I've done my power rankings, this was a team that I was constantly getting asked about why they weren't higher on the list, because they had this insane status. They were super dominant in one of the best regions of the world, Western Europe. And I could just never get myself into putting them into the upper echelons of the list. I usually have them close, sometimes creeping up into the top row, which if you are unfamiliar with my power rankings, that's about top 8 or so across the DPC. But it felt like every single time I started getting them closer and closer to the top, they would just give me another reason to take them back. And that's because their consistency has kind of been their downfall over the past year. Don't get me wrong, this roster is incredibly talented and they can go on some insane runs, but the consistency is the one thing that seems to be holding Tundra back from being one of the greatest and coming into the International as one of the favorites to actually win the whole thing, which I don't even think they're necessarily the favorites out of Western Europe to win the International. I think OG might have them there. And even the other teams attending from Western Europe this year that we know of, Gladiators and Entity, they're also looking like solid contenders as well. So this is really up in the air. But as for this past year, let's take a look at how things went. Starting things off, they finished with a total of 1,212 DPC points. They finished second place regionally, only behind OG, and ninth place internationally. And it's important to talk about how before the season started, Tundra signed a contract for all of their players for numerous years, showing to everyone that yes, this was a roster they believed in. You know, they didn't make it to TI10. They were one game away. They lost to OG in a best of 5 in 5 games, but they have faith in this roster. They think they can do really well, and things looked pretty okay in the first tour. It was a little shaky at first, but thanks to some tiebreakers, they ended up placing a little bit higher than maybe they would have. But then just some disappointing results later, and all of a sudden those long contract extensions don't really mean as much, as they made roster changes after just the first tour. And taking a look at this roster, this is a nice, healthy mix of players that have had TI experience and some new faces that maybe will be able to offer some new perspectives. For starters, let's take a look at their position 1, Skeeter. This will be his first time attending the International. He, of course, was on Tundra. Same thing as 9 when they finished second place in last year's qualifiers. That is the closest that they have ever been to TI. As for the rest of the team, they have all been numerous times. We have 33 in the off lane, who he had a pretty far run, finishing top 8 with Optic Gaming back at TI8. This will be his 4th time attending TI. We, of course, have Soxa finishing second place with Digital Chaos back at TI6. This will be his 4th international, and he, of course, was on OG last year during their run, which of course did not end up being a grand final run again, but it was still a pretty solid run. And Soxa has just been a remarkable asset that I'm surprised OG let go of, but OG obviously are looking pretty good without him, but Tundra pretty happy to have picked him up. And finally, Snaking. The furthest he's ever been was finishing top 8 at TI8 with VGJ Storm. This will be his 5th time attending TI. And as for their coach, we have Owie2000, who of course as a player has won TI, that was back at TI5 with Evil Geniuses, and as a coach he has actually been already 3 times. This will be his 4th time. This furthest run was finishing 9th to 12th place at TI9 with New B, and he participated 4 times as a player as well. And as for ex-members of the team, we of course have Fada, who was kicked from the team after Tour 1, and that reduced them down 18 DPC points. And yeah, that was a really weird thing at the time, because again, coming fresh off of those long contract extensions, this felt like a team that was going to be sticking together for a long time. And at the first sight of inconsistency, at the first sight of disappointment, they immediately made a roster change. And not only that, they got rid of Fada, who I believe at the time was the team captain, which was a pretty radical change, and they brought in Saksa. So it felt weird at first, but then you bring in a player like Saksa, it makes it feel a little bit better. And luckily for them, Saksa has more or less worked out with this roster. So taking a look at the results over the past year, again, as I mentioned, they finished third place. They were tied with 3 other teams from third place all the way down to 6th, and they won all of their tiebreaker matches, so that got them up to third place. They earned themselves 120 DPC points, which, salvaged things a little bit, because I think, again, a lot of people were expecting that this team would finish maybe top 2 and would be one of the best teams. That wasn't really what we got, but they got the salvage. They got themselves up to third place at least. So let's see how they do at the regional finals. They were the first team out. They didn't win a series. They went 0-2 in the regional finals. A big old goose egg in DPC points there, and that is when the roster changes would take place. So heading into Tour 2 with Saksa now on the roster, they would actually finish 4th place, so taking a bit of a step back. Although they did have the same win record at 4-3, they earned themselves 80 more DPC points, but because they finished top 4, that means they're also going to be attending the Stockholm Major, where they did very, very well in. And this is a very, very good sign if you're a fan of this team, is that they have gone on a deep run at a land before. Will they be able to replicate it, or will they be struck with that inconsistency once again? They go 5-1-0 in the group stage, which is absolutely absurd. We do not see teams go that hard in the group stage very often at all. And then they go 2-2 on the main stage, winning their first 2 upper bracket matches, and then losing in the upper bracket and lower bracket finals, getting knocked out finally by OG. But regardless, a fantastic run. 3rd place finish. They earned themselves 530 DPC points. And in Tour 3, they actually topped the division, finishing 1st place. So this momentum is just building and building and building. They go 6-1, 500 more DPC points. But at Arlington, they finish 15th to 16th place with a horrible group stage. So they go from having a fantastic group stage to going 0-4-3 and getting knocked out in the group stage. One of only a few teams that happened to. So for Tundra, again, it's a matter of inconsistency. Which Tundra are we going to be seeing at this year's TI? Are we going to be seeing the Stockholm Major, where they're looking confident, they're knocking out really good teams, they're having really impressive performances in the group stage, which it's important not to underestimate how important the group stage can be. A lot of people write them off as just being the thing before the actual tournament starts, but being placed highly in the main event, being placed in the upper bracket before the tournament even begins, can be huge for a team. And being placed in the lower bracket can essentially be a death sentence to many teams. So we'll see. And again, of course, in Arlington, they didn't even get to the lower bracket. They got eliminated in the group stage. So taking a look at results against teams attending this year's International, including teams in the last chance qualifiers, they played a total of 78 games, 41 wins and 37 losses. And looking at Tour 1, and again, things started off a little bit rough with losses to Team Secret, Team Liquid, and Gaming Gladiators. They did beat OG, however, and then again, they won all 3 of their best of ones there. The one that is not included on this list is Enigma Galaxy, because of course, they are not going to be attending this year's International. They might not even be a team by next season. We'll see how that ends up going. For regionals, however, again, a 2-0 loss to Gaming Gladiators in the upper bracket, and then getting knocked out 2-1 by OG in the lower bracket. They finished dead last in regionals. In Tour 2, they start off strong with 2 wins over Entity and Team Secret. However, they falter to OG, Liquid, and Gaming Gladiators, which gets them that 4th place finish. However, at Stockholm, and you can see here, it is nothing but green. There is one tie here up against BetBoom, but they take down teams like Evil Geniuses, OG, Beast Coast, Boom, T1, Spirit, and then on the main event, the main event is where they actually knock down Spirit 2-1 to the lower bracket. They beat Thunder. They get themselves to the upper bracket finals, where they would meet TSM FDX. They would lose that series 2-1 and then eventually get knocked out in the lower bracket finals by OG 2-0. Tour 3, they would take down OG 2-0. Team Secret 2-1. They would lose against Team Liquid, but then they would end off strong with wins against Entity and Gladiators. Gets them into Arlington, and stark contrast to the Stockholm Major, the Arlington group stage did not go nearly as well. It's not necessarily all red, but there isn't a single series that they won 2-0. They would tie against Boom, Entity, EG, and Beast Coast, and they would lose to Team Spirit, Na'Vi, and Aster, and that would be the end of their major and the end of their DPC season, because they have made enough points overall that time to get themselves into TI. They did not have to go through their regional qualifiers again like they did have to last year, which they didn't unfortunately make it through. Taking a look at their total stats now, this is across every single match throughout the past DPC season. They've played a total of 93 games this year, 56 wins, 37 losses, and it is pretty noteworthy to point out that the losses in their total matches the one from only their games against TI11 teams, because they did not drop a single game to a team that is not attending TI11 this year, which is pretty remarkable. The only teams that they lost to are other teams that are at the top of the game, that are going to be attending Dota's greatest annual tournament. On Radiant, they were 22-20, so pretty close to even there, but everything else was pretty remarkable. On Dire, they had a 66% win rate, 33 wins and 17 losses. On First Pick, they were 29-15, and then on Last Pick, 26-22, so not as high, but Dire and First Pick seemed to be the two orientations that they were having the most success on. However, on Radiant First Pick, that seems to be the one that they were favoring quite a bit, 19-11, whereas on Radiant Last Pick, they were actually 3-9, 25% win rate. They did not play that orientation very much, but they obviously knew that it was not one that they wanted to play very much, as they had a pretty piss poor win rate there. For Dire First Pick, they were 10-4, and on Dire Last Pick, 23-13. For games that were shorter than 40 minutes, they were 42-23, and as soon as games passed the 40-minute mark, they were an even 14-14. So for Tundra, it seems to be pretty important to them that they want to win games early, because the longer they go, that win percentage, that probability that Tundra's going to be walking away with a win, starts to dwindle a little bit. In game ones, they were 28-15, which is very impressive for a 65% win rate. 24-16 in game twos. However, in deciding game threes, they were 4-6. So game threes were a struggle for Tundra over this past year. That is something to look out for heading into this year's international. And for their average GPM, 23.28, average XPM of 28.15, an average KDA of 3.66, and an average match duration of 36 minutes and 49 seconds. For some hero stats now, they picked a total of 77 heroes across those 93 games. Their most picked being Doom with 22, Chaos Knight with 21 picks. We then have Pangolier with 18, and then Weaver, Beastmaster, and Visage with 16 picks each. Their best heroes being Darkseer, who is 5-0, and I was a little surprised to see that until I remembered 33 playing a lot of Darkseer in Tour 1, and he was really popularizing this Orchid Malevolence build that looked really, really good, so makes a lot of sense why that shows up here. Zeus, who went 8-1, Snapfire 11-2, Puck, Void Spirit, and Phoenix, who went 5-1, Bane, who went 9-3, and Pangolier, who went 13-5, very high win rate there. For worst heroes, we have Invoker, who went 0-5. So if you ever see 9 playing Invoker, maybe retract your bet if you're doing any betting. Batrider 2-5, and Shadow Demon 1-3. And for most banned, they banned a total of 91 different heroes, the most of which being Mars with 30, which is a little surprising. I don't think we've seen much Mars on the ban list here. But Timbersaw is one that we have seen quite a bit. That has 27 bans. And finally, Io with 27 as well. So yeah, that's pretty much been Tundra's past year, and now I kind of pass the question off to you guys. Where do you think they go? Which Tundra are we going to be seeing at this year's International? Are they going to be going on a nice deep run like they did back at Stockholm, which of course didn't have any Chinese teams, which is pretty important to mention because the Chinese scene is a huge influence on the competitive scene as a whole? Or will they struggle like they did in Arlington? Because again, inconsistency has really been what has struck Tundra over the past year or so. So yeah, anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. More previews to come. My next one is going to be, I believe, on Boom. Either that or it's going to be on TSM FTX. I think TSM FTX is first. So if you don't want to miss that, like, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.